keep doing that.
Time for my favorite TV show.
Yeah, me too.
Van Allen's Attic.
Oh, it's too much for me. Too much for me. Too much. Oh, this rabbit. Got to get out of here.
All right.
Where's the thing working? Where's the sound?
I was going deaf for a moment. What's going on here?
Either this man is dead or is watching my watch is dead.
Yes. Want to cool off with the fan?
Yes, we will fix the picture.
Wow. Yeah, well, good. Great. And welcome to Van Allen's Attic.
There's still more music. I'll get rid of it.
Very Most TV shows have a theme song. You actually have a march. Is this a military show or something?
We believe in order on the television show. Yeah. You
will enjoy the show.
That's rabbit. Hey, wait a minute. Let's start it over again.
The song that never stops.
Never stops. There you go. And the rabbit. See how you with the rabbit ears?
Lots of stuff.
See if these rabbit ears will pick up channel 12.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get rid of this stuff here somewhere.
Very good.
There you go.
Very good.
And
wow,
we can't stop it.
Wait a minute. It's like Homer Price and the Donuts there. Just never stops.
Never stops.
All right.
Okay, here we are.
Thanks for
Van
inviting
Allen
me into your
Attic?
lovely home
Yes.
again.
Yes. You are very welcome. You're always welcome. You're such a great talent.
That's the first time I've ever been.
You're the guy.
It's the first time I've ever been complimented by a guy with with hypertension.
Yeah.
Like that. His eyes bugging out.
Van Allen's Attic and Mr. Kaye, the mysterious Mr. Kaye Lazar, whatever it is, yeah. And me, I'm Keith Van Allen, and we're all here. And and the music is there.
You and the night and the music.
I don't know if we can show that. No, we can't show. Oh, there it is.
It's there.
Yeah,
we can hear it.
Yeah. Anyway, so what are we doing tonight?
Oh, you're asking me? I was about to ask you!
We have a script? Do we have a script? I don't know.
I was on a show not too long ago where somebody said, can you believe we don't have a script? Yes.
In fact, it's a textbook example of not having a script.
All you nice people in television land.
Yes. Whatever happened to television land? It's now internet, cyber, something land.
Everybody
subcutaneous, subterraneous. media land.
Everybody has a TV show now.
Everybody,
Isn't that great?
Everybody is a TV show.
It's almost like karaoke, which the joke about karaoke was people who shouldn't drink with people who shouldn't sing.
Yeah. Everybody's in showbiz, and everybody's a star, and no matter who you are.
Yes.
And Mickey Rooney looks so cool as he looks up women's dresses as they try to pass him by. But don't step on dearest Marilyn, because she's not very tough. She should have been made of iron and steel, but she was only flesh and blood.
Wow.
You know that song by the Kinks?
By the Kinks.
All the
Marilyn Monroe
stars
are
on Hollywood Boulevard.
Mm-hmm.
Some that you recognize, some you never even heard of. People who worked and suffered and struggled for fame. Some who succeeded and some who suffered in vain.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I wish my life was just non-stop Hollywood movie show. Yeah.
Wow.
Ray Davies. Yeah. One of the best thing he ever did, in my opinion.
Better than Lola?
Yeah. Well, depending on your mood of the evening, how late the evening. Yeah.
Let me tell you about the song.
Low.
Yeah. That's a good point about, you sing that song, speaking of karaoke, I was saying that at karaoke, and let me tell you something. They made a big fuss back in the 80s about content.
You sang Lola?
Yeah, about content in rock and roll.
You didn't look enough like Marlene Dietrich.
No, it wasn't that. Yeah, well, anyway, so what happened was they were saying, and this song glorifies the day, transvestitism and everything,
end of its
nonsense.
Time.
But anyway, they found out that the kids liked the song, not because it glorified transvestitism, but people like just going la 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 la. That's like the best part of the song.
And it rhymes
very
with
catchy.
Rhymes with Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
Well, that's it's got atmosphere. That
yeah.
song. So the Kinks were quite a good group.
Now,
I wasn't heavily into wild rock and roll groups, but I was introduced to that by a friend, and I'm glad he did. But
yeah, I never asked you
about very cinematic. Rock. They were kind of cinematic.
Yeah,
feel to their stuff.
I never asked you about rock and roll. You big who you big fan of like the Rolling Stones or the Beatles?
Well,
Elvis.
I have a funny background with that. I started out really, really young, watching American Bandstand and all the hot old rock and roll before Buddy Holly died and the Beatles came and all that and Elvis and everything. And I used to love that. And I was a little kid and my favorite song was it was a one-eyed, one-horn, flying purple people eater, one-eyed, one. We like short, right, purple people eater. Sure looks strange to me. Yes. Purple people. Yeah, but I liked. I liked. I couldn't wait to see American Bandstand on TV from age 4, maybe 6 or 7. Then I remember the day a kid came to class at school in the 3rd grade with a Beatles haircut.
Oh, wow.
And that was like a big, everybody was just staring. What is this? The world has changed. And I remember when Kennedy was shot, I was getting on the bus, and the safety patrol told me about it. And I wasn't sure how to react because my parents were kind of Republican at that time. And I thought, oh, this is supposed to be good, isn't it? I don't know.
It's rough.
Yeah.
In fact, there was a lot of anti-Kennedy rhetoric that really came to a head in Texas. You don't think about it because of the assassination was kind of erased everything else. But before he actually came to Dallas, there was all these protesters and everyone complaining.
Really? I didn't know.
Yeah, and he picked a vice president running mate, Lyndon Johnson, and they were upset. That he didn't do enough for Texas once he got into the White House.
There's nobody more big in Texas than Lyndon, LBJ. Yeah. And that's the last abbreviation I've been able to memorize. JFK and LBJ, and now every day everybody throws abbreviations at you right and left, and
some names are just too long.
Use the language.
You'd be KVA.
KVA. I go by KVA, but my true moniker is KAV because my last name is Van Allen.
Yeah.
Keith Anderson Van Allen, and I don't use all of those because it would sound like a coffee.
Yeah.
Kava.
Yeah.
From the volcano.
Yeah.
Doesn't they have a volcano? Yeah.
Kava is they have like a volcano in the on the label. Yeah. There's all these old time.
But you can't get that at Kroger's. No Kava at Kroger's. Do they still make it? Is it out of business?
Well, I don't know if it's out of business, but it's probably made somewhere. I know there's Kava. There's U-Band when I was a kid. There was Chasing Sandboard.
Fresh percolated coffee. That's like my husband likes fresh percolated coffee, and my husband's a very demanding man. You remember that commercial, Patricia
Neal?
Patricia Neal
did a commercial
about
her husband.
About really?
Yeah.
Holy cow!
That's who she was talking about. My husband's a demanding man. Yeah, he was writing about despotic candy makers that turn little girls into blueberries.
I had no idea. You never know in filmdom who marries who.
Yeah.
Until
he was married a few times though, but I think during that time.
And Raoul Dahl. It's kind of an Indian name, isn't it? But he's a very British guy.
Yeah.
Anyway, he had his own TV show called Way Out.
He was hosting?
Yeah, and I posted. It was one of those sort of like a Twilight Zone show, but even weirder. And there were some weird shows.
The two most famous Alfred Hitchcock Presents was written by Roald Dahl. One was the one about the woman, Barbara Bel Geddes, who we mentioned earlier, the woman who killed her husband with a frozen leg of lamb.
Oh yeah.
And then at the end,
Alfred directed that one himself.
And then at the end, they can't find the murder weapon, so then she serves the leg of lamb to the policeman. Yeah. And then of course at the end,
it was frozen to begin with.
Yeah, and then at the end. Hitchcock makes a little speech. Oh, and she gave herself up, and she's now serving life imprisonment, which was basically he was just winging to the audience. She got away with it, but he couldn't say that because in those days, if you killed somebody on a show or a movie, you had to be punished for it. That happens at the end of the bad
sequence. She's still serving, but not in the commissary, unfortunately.
Yes, not serving like a lamb. And then the other one...
but he directed that one.
Yeah, he directed that one. And then the other one by Roald Dahl is the famous one, which has been remade a few times, even by Quentin Tarantino, where the guy has bets... Peter Lorre and Steve McQueen are in this episode by Roald Dahl, where the guy has a bet that he could light his cigarette lighter 10 times in a row, and if it doesn't happen 10 times in a row, the guy will chop off the other guy's finger, or he'll get his Cadillac or something. It's a wild episode. Two most famous.
The great big saw came nearer and nearer. Films have been sadistic since the very beginning. They had the, Perils of Pauline. That saw is ever coming closer, coming closer, and then it's made of rubber.
They with the Hayes office were trying to.
I wonder if they ever actually used that word. Yeah, the villains. It was always supposed to be. I think it was Snidely Whiplash.
Snidely. Yeah. And there was
Hans Conried said that he did the voice of Snidely Whiplash. Come with me, Nell. You're going to love the train track I've made out for the two of us to go on a honeymoon with. I'll tie you up right away. But Nell, it's Dudley Do-Right.
Yeah, Dudley. Oh wow!
I've been to the Dudley Do-Right Emporium.
Where's that?
It's in Hollywood. It was. That
was in Canada.
No. Well, he was. Yeah.
He was.
With Jay Ward, who produced Bullwinkle and Dudley and all those, they had the studio, and they had a giant Bullwinkle out in front and cement with all their names in the cement.
Oh, wow.
Hans Conried and everybody, and Bill
Edward
Scott.
Everett Horton.
Edward Horton. Bill Scott, who did the voice of Bullwinkle. Yeah.
June Foray.
Yeah. And I went in to visit, and the studio wasn't doing much business then. They were just doing Captain
Crunch. Yeah.
Captain Crunch commercials.
Same animations.
Great big commercial, and it was just one guy sitting there drawing on a Captain Crunch ship background. That was it. But he told me the story about down in the basement that Jay Ward, the producer and creator of all those, Rocky and Bullwinkle, who owned the studio.
So subversive.
He had well, it's comedy. It's always supposed to be so.
Hello, poetry lovers.
Gee, Bullwinkle, not again. But he had a secret door down in the basement, so when people showed up at the studio he didn't exactly want to see, he could go down into the secret door and come up in the building next door.
A tunnel.
Yeah, secret tunnel.
You know,
I guess he owned the building next door. I don't.
You know what's kind of neat about the Bullwinkle cartoons is that I think all of them were they always said when we last saw Bullwinkle but not there. It's almost like being in the middle of a cartoon, or well, did I miss the first part? But there wasn't a first part.
Bullwinkle approached the.
It always started in the middle.
The burning fire down at the bottom of the canyon, and Boris Badenoff was hiding nearby.
Yeah,
that was the guy.
It was William Conrad.
William Conrad, who had also done Matt Dillon on Gunsmoke and Radio, and I don't know if he did, and he sounded a lot like the guy on the Untouchables. I don't know if it was.
That was Walter.
That was Walter Winchell.
Walter Winchell.
Himself,
yeah. Hello.
Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all the ships at sea.
Yeah, you got it.
And then Sylvester the cat did a takeoff on it. Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all the children I see.
You know, when they made the movie The Untouchables with Kevin Costner, my dad was upset that they didn't have a Walter Winchell character.
Yeah, those old TV shows are pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, though, that The Untouchables was accused of being too violent, and it was kind of violent for its day. I thought the overdubbing was the violent part. And Frank Nitti got into his big black limousine and sped around the corner. And then he crashed into a lamppost and all this other stuff. And I never got a chance to see the crash because I was listening to that voice. Well, you know what's wild about when you're a kid and you watch The Untouchables, the TV show, they keep talking about Capone, but they never show Capone. And I didn't realize at the time that where the show takes place, Capone is already in prison for tax evasion.
Did you know that Al Capone,
what about him?
Oh,
he only lived to be 47.
He took up a hobby in Alcatraz. Yeah. They got a picture, I don't know, painting watercolors or something, where he's holding throwing darts. No, it was something really cute. I saw it just the other day. I forgot what it was. But it's got a picture
painting in the big house.
Al Capone. I'm painting a little birdie and a puppy.
Yeah, I know.
Hi, I'm Al. It used to be Al all the time. Now it's Al, the nursery rhyme guy. And I'm going to have my own children's show once I get off the rock. Yeah.
Speaking of children's shows, have you ever read the book or seen the movie Naked Lunch by William Burroughs? It's about
I've heard the title.
I mean, it's really weird with like typewriters coming alive and the lamps coming alive and talking. This guy is something like in a drug delirium.
He wrote animal stories. No, that was another.
That's William Burroughs. No, but anyway, this was a beatnik poet who actually famously shot his wife reenacting William Tell. Put an apple on her head, and he was out of. Yeah. So anyway, I always got the idea, and I'm not sure this is, but I always got the idea that Sid and Marty Krofft read that book and said, this would make a nice children's TV show, HR Puffenstuffers, Banana Splits. Because if you watch those shows now, those shows are like acid trips for children.
Yeah, I'm Richie Poo.
Yeah.
Richie Poo. Oh, no, I'm the guy, I'm a hero. I'm a dragon with a pumpkin head. Oh, no, Richie Poo is going to get us. Oh, and the eyes are rattling around. Oh,
Yeah.
everybody looks like Hamburglar on this show.
I think
the guy. I think he
talking. And,
I think he made the hamburger, the stuff from McDonald's.
Cars, probably.
Yeah.
The cars
Sid and Marty
were.
Krofft.
Yeah, the cars were talking. The flute was talking. Everything. I mean, if you ever had an acid trip, you would. That was what you saw, and then said, we could actually move this for children's television too. They can enjoy an acid trip, just like the teenagers and the hippies.
Kids are naturally on acid trips. Give them orange juice; they're on an acid trip.
Gosh, you give a kid a lot of Halloween candy. Sometimes they're just bouncing off the wall.
Whee!
They're like Tigger.
That's how I got into classical music. I bought an album of Second Hungarian Rhapsody, and I bounced off the wall to it.
Yeah, list.
Yeah,
list. Oh no, I asked if you had a list. Wow.
Yeah.
Yes. Best music.
Yeah.
You should do.
I can't reach the keyboard.
You should make your own silent movie and then do a wonderful score, like Chaplin did with his silent movie.
Yeah.
My dad is in his 90s, and last week he was watching TCM. He saw Modern Times for the first time since 1935.
That's quite a movie.
But I mean, he saw it. He hadn't seen it since 1935, and he remembered it that he really liked it when he was a kid. And now he sees it a second time. He goes, "It's just as good." 85 years later.
I love that big man on the screen, on the television screen, talking to the. And,
get back to work.
And then talking to him, and then he moved over here and he follows him, and
I'm not kidding you.
Very prophetic.
Prophetic. Let me tell you something.
Workplace today.
You go to Amazon, where people work at Amazon, it's just like Modern Times. You think, that's a comedy from the 1930s. That would never happen, and it's happened.
How do you go to Amazon? You order it online?
I'm not talking about you and me who order the books and the movies. I'm talking about the people who work at Amazon. It's hard work.
Yeah.
They have to, every 10 seconds, have to push a button or something to make sure everything comes through. They have their conveyor belt and everything.
And they have their forklifts that run on blue gas, which is hydrogen fuel cells.
Yeah.
Which is the wave of the future.
Yeah, of course. By
stock and Plug Power Incorporated. And nothing comes out of the pipe but water. It's perfectly clean.
Yeah.
And they're doing big trucks with it and everything.
Energy is the...
Hand me that school bus.
Way to go.
Yes. We can have perfectly clean school bus. Just a little visual aid.
Yeah.
Yeah, put it back.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was waiting for it to move forward.
Hand me that silver thing.
This thing?
Yeah.
This is coffee in it.
Oh. I'm going to give it here. I'll shake it. Oh, can you shake it? Oh, anyway. Do a Carmen Miranda. Yeah. Boom, chicka boom, boom, chicka boom, 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 chicka boom. Like Chotto. That's my coffee thing. Yeah. Keeps it all warm. We got a lot of cool stuff here. We got stuff here tonight. We were planning a really big show for like and we have delivered. Like a really big shoe is what we wanted to do. And just like that, Mr. Kaye brought us an example of how to make or how to measure a really big shoe. See if you remember this wonderful industry-spun device from your childhood. You don't see them much anymore, but he's got one. And actually, I got it for free. Oh, you did? I just was at a shoe store, and they don't have a price tag on it, so I just took it home. It's the shoe measuring device. What do you call these things? They are actually called... I'm glad you asked that question. It's called the Brannock Device. In a galaxy far, far away. I wouldn't touch it too much because
I'll tell you why.
It's got COVID all over.
No. I tell you the problem. I had a girlfriend who would not touch that thing in my apartment because she said of all the filthy feet that have been in it.
Now, wait a minute. I want to.
You're going to test it out?
If we're going to have this thing on the show,
can you stick your foot up?
Well, we can.
Or you can stick your foot up. Your foot. Okay.
Yeah, this is a Red Wing special.
A Red Wing. Oh wow.
A Red Wing.
Did you get this from Tom McCann?
No, I got it from Red Wing shoe. They got their own store. And
that's how it would. Imagine a whole leg on top of that.
I know. What is the size of that thing?
I can't read.
16. I don't remember it being that big.
16. Maybe it's a woman's size.
Yeah, I could run.
Maybe it's a woman's size.
I could run for president with a foot like that. Maybe it goes the other way. I don't.
Well, maybe is that a left or?
Well,
right
that's
foot?
the shoe. The foot's a little smaller than that.
No, is that a left or right shoe?
This is that side. I'm dyslexic. Which is which? It's west.
It is right.
It's my west foot.
Oh, you had it right.
Unless I'm looking the other way. Unless I'm looking the other way.
You had it correct.
And they used to measure the width.
Yeah.
Which they don't anymore, but this thing does.
I'm glad I buy my own shoes now. Yeah. My mother used to buy me my shoes.
Yeah.
And
a D.
A D.
I used to get an E, but now I get a D.
I knew a girl that wore a D, but she didn't wear it in a shoe.
And how do you? We'll pass right along.
2 Ds.
Yes.
Well, I can tell you what it is.
The censor will be
all
over that last comment.
This is a.
It's a thing.
People had better eyesight in those days.
But it does look like a spaceship.
Oh, wait a minute here.
It looks like a Klingon's coming to get you.
Yeah.
Hurry, Captain! We got our shields are down. What are we going to do? Go to shoe store.
Okay, I'll tell you what it is. It is a B, between a B and a C. And then
my shoe? No, I'm a D at least.
And a D? Okay, then you're a D then.
But when I was a kid, I was an E. I've gotten thinner.
Well, actually, wait a minute. Do it again, and you measure it from the toe and the heel. So do it again this way. Okay, it's a right one, and you put the right heel here.
No, you just go wham, and then you measure the imprint on your face. Measure yourself for a COVID mask.
It's a big, nice shoe. Nice.
It's
size.
steel-toed. It's steel-toed.
Okay, so it's
I
right.
wanted to bring my wing tips.
You're right. It's a 6. You have a 6. I have a tiny shoe.
I am Frankenstein.
Well, actually, no, I got to tell you something. I used to have a real tiny shoe.
I got a big shoe, fellas. Girls out there.
I used to have a tiny...
Running for president.
I used to have a tiny shoe, but as I get older...
I got little hands.
I'm not gotten bigger, but my shoe is spread... My feet have spread out, and every, maybe 10 years, I have to go up another size, or half a size.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm about an 8.
You got to wear balloon shoes or something.
Yeah. Or it fits better anyway.
Yeah. You gotta change your shoes. I got a 3 or 4 different pair. You find your back is hurting you or something?
Oh yeah.
I'm really serious. It's probably because you've been wearing the same shoe for too damn long.
Yeah.
So take off the
You mean the shoe is worn out or has gotten used to
No,
your body?
no, not even that. No, your body, your pelvis and your spinal cord shifts.
Yeah.
And then, so I got a pair of Keens. I got Merrills. I got these things. These are the real fixer-uppers. If your back or your hips are bothering you, like a few days ago, I could hardly walk, and I said, I need to put these things on. And then after wearing this a day, I'm fine.
Yeah.
And then I can switch to another one of my tenny pumps.
Yeah.
I have Keen, what do you call walking shoe?
Yeah.
Running
tennis
shoe.
Shoes?
Tennis shoe, yeah. Well, the new fancy kind. Keens and Merrills are my favorites.
Yeah.
And Columbia's sometime. But anyway, they're all shift your weight and your spine a little bit different. And so they'll fix you right up.
It is the most neglected part of your body is your feet. And if you think about it...
that's the most important
part.
It's
very important. And I'll tell you how important it is. Almost every step you take is almost like 200 pounds of pressure on your feet. So you got to have the right shoes. And whatever you pay for your shoes is probably a bargain because You should get the best shoes that
every
your doctor
step you take, every move you make, I'll be charging you.
My dad has a joke. If the shoe fits, it's probably not on sale.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, and so you have to take care of your feet. I used to work at a place where I was on my feet all the time, and every once in a while I'd go to the back of the room or something, take off my shoes and start rubbing my feet. And they said,
Yeah.
"I didn't know you had bad feet, Kevin." And I said, "I don't, and this is why. I don't. Just because the boss says I got to stand up 8 hours a day doesn't mean I'm going to risk my health."
These are kind of clunky for taking a walk in, but if you have to stand around all day behind a cash register or whatever, this is the kind of thing you need. And it'll keep you up, keep you going. Frankenstein shoes.
When you're a kid, you're always outgrowing shoes, and I remember all the kids had the fanciest shoes when I was growing up, and I had what my folks brought me.
Yeah.
and they would have all these fancy. And I would wear like these old-fashioned shoes, and they said, why are you wearing those shoes? And I said, well, Jesse Owens didn't wear these fancy shoes, and he won 4 gold medals in the 1936 Olympics. And if it's good enough for Jesse Owens, it's good enough for me.
Yeah. They had like leather shoes and leather soles for running, and with cleats in them. And those things are well made. Have you ever been to the bowling alley?
Oh, yeah. And
those shoes feel great.
Yeah. They glide. They glide like dance shoes. Yeah. Because they don't want you don't realize this, but when you want to dance or bowl, you need a shoe that just
those old comedians and dancers and everything, Fred Astaire, they'd wear special shoes and slick the floor. Yeah. And a lot of times the comedian would come in and slide to a stop. They prepared that floor. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't get to be a cartoon character just naturally, you know.
Yes. Do you do any bowling yourself?
I used to.
Isn't it great?
I'd like to
go bowling.
Let's go.
Let's go.
I don't have a ball, but
you don't need a ball.
No, they got them.
They got
a lot of them.
They have their own. They have shoes there too.
Fred Flintstone.
That you can stick your feet in.
Fred Flintstone would go twinkle, twinkle, twinkle when the tips of his toes and throw the ball. Boom, crash, boom.
The crazy thing about Fred Flintstone, he didn't wear shoes.
That's right.
He always went around barefoot.
He could stop a car with those shoes, with those feet. Flintstones.
I like how he always wore a necktie.
The Martin Stone Age family.
That's why I always wear a necktie, because of Yogi Bear and Fred Flintstone.
I wish I had a... I could draw you, Flintstone, right now if you...
Do you know that there's a reason why they wore neckties? Fred Flintstone and Yogi Bear.
Keep talking.
What happened was they were very cheap, the animation of Hanna-Barbera. And they wanted to keep the body... They didn't want to have to draw the body over and over again.
Here,
by...
what are you doing? I was going to draw something.
Oh, okay.
On this pad.
There you go.
If I could. Or keep talking.
So what happened was they would animate the head and keep the necktie as sort of a...
Yeah, I know all about
as sort of a...
it's called limited animation.
Yeah.
And it was invented... And they did it well because it was invented by the old-time animators like that worked for MGM and Disney. Some of those old... Tom
and Jerry guys.
Yeah, and Disney guys that got laid off as animation became too expensive and television was taking away business from the theaters. They ended up on these shows.
Yeah.
And even on Johnny Quest. And they would crank that stuff out, but you could tell they were a good hand at it. And good timing and movement. But they would like to have a level head level, arm level, and a body level, and the mouth would be doing like that. Yeah. But they put a lot of motion into it.
They worked harder on scripts.
But it got
up for the animation.
It got worse in the 70s when a lot of those guys were retiring, and the new guys that worked for Hanna-Barbera, but even more so Filmation.
Yeah,
they didn't learn real animation, how to make it move and move well, and they just shifted these levels, and it was, I call it animated bookkeeping.
Yeah.
You just have all these heads, and then he moves off, and he doesn't move very well, and it's real stiff looking, like Skeletor. I am He-Man and Skeletor.
I remember
there was a lot of guys that really liked that stuff.
Yeah. Well, I think they like the characters, and if you like the characters, you'll dismiss the animation sometimes.
I didn't. I couldn't stand it.
But, there were these Marvel comics that were done in the 1960s, mid-1960s. I think they came out of Canada, and they used to be shown locally on the Dandy Beagle and Superdog show.
Oh.
And these you could find online, but they had really cool themes.
Yeah,
but
like
the craziest thing,
Dr. Banner, melted by gamma waves, turns into the Hulk. Ain't he so glamorous, the ever-loving Hulk, better Hulk.
We can't see your face.
Captain America, when Captain America throws his mighty shield, clang.
I remember the Submariner and all this.
Oh, the mighty Submariner, Prince of the Deep. So be waiting every demon.
But these, I didn't realize it until I grew up and saw these as an adult, that you can see them on YouTube and stuff. The craziest thing about them was they were basically just hinge animation where they just pretty much moved the mouth most of the time and just took the art just from, I think, the original comic book.
That's right. They were very well drawn.
Yeah.
They didn't move much, but they were they were drawn by Marvel artists who were good artists. But it had its own unique atmosphere and weird atmosphere that you kind of liked.
They were banned for many years because they were considered too violent. Usually, the cartoons that were told you shouldn't watch were the ones,
they hardly moved.
The ones you want to, the ones that the people want to ban are the ones you really want to watch.
I don't know.
All right, what are you gonna do?
Fantasia had Tyrannosaurus Rex chewing up poor Stegosaurus.
Yeah.
And that's history. That's life.
Fantasia.
Yeah.
That was something.
I was gonna. Oh, it's the wrong piece of paper. I hate this paper. This is going.
Did you get it from a butcher shop, that paper?
Yeah, it's tracing paper. Anyway, I'll try to draw.
All right.
I'm going to figure it out.
Let me just move it.
I'm going to set things up one day.
All right.
I need to get a better camera.
Yeah.
So you can see detail. I'll take you over to the animation desk.
Yeah.
When I get a decent camera.
Yeah. There's nothing more exciting watching people draw. It's pretty a lot of fun.
And smelling the pen. Ooh.
Too bad you can't smell the pen.
Smell the pen.
We're all going to
That's
get
all
high.
I care about is smelling the pen.
Getting high from the
This thing is take a whiff. And then
you almost stuck. Hey, I almost got a blue nose. Okay.
Barney! You can see what I'm doing here.
When I was a kid, I thought that Fred Flintstone was the voice of Jackie Gleason.
Yeah,
but he sounded so much like Jackie Gleason.
It was based
on him. Yeah. Oh, look at that! I get him to see it. Yeah.
This is his beard.
Yeah.
It was a different color.
Wow, that's a good picture of him.
So,
yeah.
Making
that blue hair, yeah.
Yeah, blue hair.
He's a punk rock. He's a punk rock. Oh, looks good.
So I'm drawing under duress here, but anyway, the less duress will make him wear a dress.
Yes.
Anyway, so
hold that up so we can. It's very hard to.
You hold
there
it
you
up.
Go. I might be able to hold up.
I'll just stay back here and sniff the pen.
I think I can hold it. Isn't that a beautiful? No.
Look at
Look at this beautiful.
You can't see anything.
Look at this beautiful.
There it is.
Look at this beautiful photo. A portrait of
Barney. Fred.
Fred.
And who did that voice? You must know.
His name was Alan Reed, and he was an actor. He was a pretty good actor.
Yeah.
If you ever see a movie. It's really cool. If you ever see the movie The Postman Always Rings Twice with John Garfield, the guy who blackmails him is Alan Reed near the end of the movie. And he has a voice just like Fred Flintstone. And this is like 20 years before Fred Flintstone.
If you don't pay me $5,000, I'm going to tell.
The coolest thing about animation is that once the original people who do the voices die, they always manage to find somebody who sounds just like them. they keep the voice.
Sometimes they do and sometimes they don't.
They have a hard time, replacing.
I should have tried to get some of those jobs because I could have done a better job than some of those replacements. But anyway,
do you know that when Mel Blanc died,
Mel Blanc did Barney.
They needed 17, and the Warner Brothers they needed 17 voice actors to replace Mel Blanc, who did it all himself. Well, there's Barney. Yeah.
Chief Fred. Barney. He didn't wear a tie. He was a cool guy.
Barney didn't have a job either. He had a pretty wife.
Yes, he did. Betty.
Yeah.
And, I was a Betty man. Wilma. Took me a while to get into Wilma because Wilma had these things on the side of her head like honey buns,
She had a bone through her bun.
She had a hairdo like that. It had these things.
Yeah.
Alfred, and...
well, she was sort of based on, I guess, Alice.
Yeah.
Kind of a nagging wife.
And even though Barney's based on Art Carney, he doesn't look a thing like Art Carney. But anyway, he had to have a short guy to counteract Fred, I guess.
It was like I heard a story about that Gleason was going to sue. It suggested that they sue them for stealing the honeymooners as the Flintstones, and then somebody actually said, "Do you really want to be the guy who puts an end to the beloved Flintstones?" And he said no. Yeah. So he let it go. And also they claimed that
they settled out of court.
I don't know if they settled, but I think there was also Hanna-Barbera also whispered, "Well, we're going to sue you for stealing the honeymooners, for stealing Laurel and Hardy." So meaning that it could go back and forth forever.
I don't know if that would have gotten thrown into court. It's too much difference. But the thing of it is, Hanna-Barbera did have a.
That was great.
They had a habit of redoing shows. Yeah. Another great comedy show, which was rehashed into a cartoon by Hanna-Barbera was. All right, you guys, come on, settle down.
Oh,
JC!
That was my favorite.
All right. He's doing Phil Silvers. Yeah. And then the Benny the Ball was just like that short guy.
That guy was.
They were all just like the characters on Phil Silver's Sergeant Bilko.
But you know that the Benny the Ball character that was based on the guy but that guy was actually the voice of Benny the Ball. Because he didn't really work very much.
He needed work.
Yeah, he didn't have like Phil Silvers. All those other guys got jobs. He basically all he did was.
But I don't think George Ballantyne, the tall guy, I don't think he worked on it.
No,
he had a lot of work in TV.
Yeah,
Carl Ballantyne?
Yeah, I saw him the other day on a
Sarge, what are you talking about, Sarge? Yeah. They had another guy doing Chucho. It was supposed to be that part.
But it was the voice of Top Cat. It wasn't Phil Silvers. It was Arnold Stang.
No.
Hard to believe. Yeah, it doesn't sound like Arnold Stang.
Oh, you mean the guy with the glasses?
Yeah, he always played a nebbish guy.
Yeah.
He's in It's a Mad World. Yeah.
That's right.
Arnold Stang, yeah. he worked a long time, that guy.
He probably did voices.
He did a lot of voices, I think, but he did Top Cat.
I guess Messick got in on that. What's his Bob Messick or Joe Messick? What's his
name?
Messick. Don Messick.
And Dawes Butler did all those.
Huckleberry Hound. And quick draw McGraw.
Well, I read that they were so cheap, Hanna-Barbera, that they basically hired two guys to do almost all the voices for them. And they could even do the voices that they hired.
Did a little more than that, but
yeah.
Look at the
Howard Morris did a lot of voices. So did Alan Melvin.
Howard Morris, he was a good director too. Yeah. He directed a lot of comedy things. Comedy TV shows.
Howard Morris from Andy Griffith Show and Your Show of Shows. Yeah.
He was a writer, one of those guys from Your Show of Shows of that whole Halcyon group of guys.
Yeah.
Which included Woody Allen and of course Mel Brooks, Neil Simon,
Larry Gilbert.
And Carl Reiner.
Carl Reiner was the head writer, and he was also a regular on there.
Yeah.
So, Oh, I see so much of that on YouTube. It's so funny that that's Saturday Night Live is based on on your show of shows, and they do it totally different. What they would do is they would write these great scripts.
I prefer SCTV myself.
SCTV is good.
I am a connoisseur.
Well, SCTV was great too.
SCTV was much better, well done.
But
yeah, it was good.
I went to see a Harry Shearer.
When SNL is hitting on all its pistons, there's nothing better. But
Harry Shearer, who used to write for Saturday Night Live and be a regular on there, he now does Simpsons voice, does Mr. Smithers and stuff. He and Mr. Burns. What happened was he said that your show of shows, they would write the script and then rehearse it all week long, and then they do it on Saturday night. Now on Saturday Night Live, they do all these skits, and then they do a dress rehearsal. They put it all on cue cards, and then they just pick which ones they want, and then they do it 11:30. A lot of those things are dropped, and he thought the way those shows did it was perfect, and he quit Saturday Night Live because he didn't like the way that they did that. Have everyone just throw in these skits and then have them rehearse all week with cue cards, and then they would have them for cue cards, and then they drop maybe half of them by the time 11:30 came around. So yeah,
well, that can be frustrating.
Yeah.
But yeah,
you never have to remember lines though.
Your show of shows was more scripted, I'm sure.
I mean, scripted meaning scripted and memorized, no cue cards or anything.
Yeah, and rehearsed and everything. It's a lot of work. But,
let me tell you something. I'm an actor, and I've been in a lot of theater. And let me tell you something. It's so much easier to read a cue cards. But sometimes you can't be reading a book the whole time. But a lot of times you see me reading a book or a newspaper. I'm actually reading my lines. But I do have to know a whole lot of lines. Now, we were talking about your theater's work. Have you ever been in a musical? You're a very musical guy. Have you ever had to sing?
No, I should have gotten into that. Yeah. They were doing some nice musicals in high school. I was too shy to go for theater in high school, but I caught up with it. I was drawing too much, but when I was in animation, just getting started at Candy Apple Productions with Steve Siegel and Phil Trumbo over town at the old Alpha Audio recording studios, I've been acting up for a long time.
You could create a scene
around the house and everywhere, and a little bit in high school and English class. But I did. Hey, George, tell me about the rabbits, George. That was an English class, and I drew the scene on chalkboard, and we did a report. And me and a friend of mine, Fred Barber, we did Lenny and George.
Wow!
And it got a big. But anyway, I never really did a theater thing until I was working in animation in my early 20s, and my mom was working at Fort Lee, and they had they had a really good theater program.
Stan Kelly,
Stan. I met Stan later, but there was like a big theater, very professional program. Yeah, and they had international people, and I went down, and Mom said you ought to try for that. And I went down, and I came back home. I got the part.
I got it.
And I did.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was...
what was the part?
No sex, please.
That's
We're
right.
British.
That's right.
I played Arnold Needham from head office. Oh, I'm here to inspect the books. Oh, what's going on? Oh, there are prostitutes running all over the furniture. Oh, leave me alone. I've got to look at the books. It was one of those farces. Well,
a lot of slamming doors.
Yeah. Bedroom farce. And I made myself up to be a 60-year-old man, which I am now. And anyway, I jumped over the railing and landed on the couch, and then these two girls picked me up and carried me off, and I kept my same pose. My feet were crossed.
Oh, yeah.
All this stuff, running around. Great experience. A lot of fun. And this gorgeous woman came backstage, wanted to meet me. She was in a meat stall. Evidently, she thought I could be her sugar daddy, and I was like, oh, hi. And then suddenly Mom and Dad show up. Okay, we're going to dinner, Keith, but what do we have to, But that was a lot of fun, and it was with real British actors.
Yes.
Some of the actors were actually British. They were exchange.
Yeah.
They had
British actors in there.
That were in the U.S. Army or exchange personnel, I think they called them.
Yeah.
And I did a caricature of everybody, And my dad took photographs of everything, and I've been trying to find those photographs. But anyway, I think you're at the
Fibber McGee's closet, I think.
Yeah, I got a few of those around here.
Now, that was great.
That was a lot of fun. Oh man,
yeah.
And then it was a big success. I think we got paid. And that was my first real stage experience was like that. And I tried one more audition. There was another play for the John Rolfe Players or something. And I didn't get the part. And I got so depressed by not getting the second part that I didn't go back to stage for a while. And I was working in animation anyway. And I just poured myself into that, which is acting. But then later on, I was burned out from animation. So much work and stuff like that. And came home to Richmond from Canada, and you get these burnout periods where you want to do. And I met these guys at this record store. We used to be called Music City, at the Southside Plaza, and they were working as DJs on the radio. And I was talking to them and say, "Hey, you want to be a DJ?"
Yeah.
I said, "Yeah, sure, come on over." And I did, and
most fun I ever had.
Yeah,
DJ.
And it was like a WKRP experience, only a lot cheaper, but it was a lot of fun.
There's no Lonnie Anderson either.
No, well, not exactly, but we did have a few of those. They were kind of nice.
Yeah,
yeah. But anyway, and like I said before, it was spinning the real platters.
Yeah.
That's the real art to it. Yeah, all by hand. Hey, and we're on the air right here from high atop the Heckler building overlooking the beautiful Kmart parking lot. It's the Crazy Keith Show right here on WENZ. And we're throwing platters at you right and left and on top of the head. And I'm flattening my skull just for you. Now, here we go with Billy and the Bing Bongs.
Wow, you were really...
Something like that.
You were the man with a plan with all those... I was basically...
That was the fun. That was
is the microphone on? Yeah. My problem when I was a DJ was that the manager always said you talk too much. They want to hear music. They don't want to hear your yammering. And now that's all I do is talk. I don't play any music.
Well, Dave,
for entertainment.
Our station manager, Dave, can't remember his name now, but he gave me some good advice. You're doing all this stuff. Have a point where you're starting and a place where you're going to. Yes. Know where you're going to end up.
David Holt was his
David
name.
Holt, you knew him.
I knew him.
Did you work for
him? I know everybody.
David Holt, great guy. Anyway, you can fill it up with all kinds of stuff as long as you end up at that point. Yeah, and that's what Dave said. My first show, I tried to do a taped show. I did this cartoon weird characters down in a cavern talking to each other, and I made it up and I put it on tape.
Oh yeah.
And I still got the tape. It's kind of neat and weird. And I had songs in there, but it was like a pre-production radio show. And he said, no, don't do all that. So that was the end of that. And I just did it live after that.
I tell you, you were talking about rejection in the theater and in radio. They're always turning you down for radio jobs.
Yeah, you got to get used to that.
Yeah, well, just got to get used to it. I actually went to a radio station in town, and a guy interviewed me. And evidently he didn't care for me very much. I mean, he didn't hire me, obviously. So then what happened was years later, I was on, the Gorgeous George show, and I ran into this guy again, and he goes, I know you from the Gorgeous George show. You and that guy is so funny, you're the funniest guys I know. And I didn't have the heart to tell him, yeah, and you turned me down 10 years earlier for a radio show. You could have got this humor all this time. Now,
I got back into auditions.
Yeah.
After that, but it's a never-ending process. One time I auditioned, and I actually impressed the guy. I didn't always do this. I had a lot of rejections, but the old Barksdale Theater.
Yes.
And it was a Neil Simon play.
Yes.
I don't know if it was Lost in Yonkers or not. No, it wasn't that. It was one of those type of things. Yeah. And I was only in my 30s, and I auditioned for an old Jewish man. Yes. I'm going to be
That'd be Lost in Yonkers.
A guy with a Yiddish accent of whatever. I don't know. It was here. It was there. 6 or dozen, half a dozen other.
Richard Dreyfuss in the movie.
Yeah. Well, it was something like that. Mm-hmm. I actually met Mercedes Yu.
She was in it too. Yeah.
Yeah.
She was in the
movie
I met her and the show. Yeah.
I'll tell you about that. But
Was she like? Nice.
She was great.
Yeah,
and she was working at a hamburger joint in upstate New York, and I was getting a hamburger, and there she was. I'm sure it was her.
Yeah.
She was just having a lark. Maybe she was from there, and she's, hey, how you doing? And I didn't pick up. I should have said, are you Mercedes?
She went back to the theater. Yeah.
After
winning an Oscar.
But anyway, she was my uncle lived up there, and I was taking the tour, and there she was, and I just bought the hamburger and said hi and talked to her.
Hi, Mercedes.
But I didn't. I wish I'd said, "Are you Mercedes?" But being dyslexic like I am, I probably couldn't remember the name right. You know, what is it, Gruel or you? Rule.
It's German name.
I love her. But I mean, remembering the name, it doesn't. It's no insult when you hear me mess up your name because it's a thing in my brain.
I can
draw your face.
I once accidentally called Joe Williams, the Count Basie band guy, when I met him. I accidentally called him Mr. Marsalis. I think he was Ellis Marsalis. But I mean, I knew who he was. It came out Mr. Marsalis because I'd already seen like maybe 3 days before Ellis Marsalis.
Ellis
just died.
Ellis used to teach at VCU.
Well, that's how I. Yeah, that's. I mean, I ran into him.
I used to see him.
I didn't. He didn't know me, but
I saw him in concert. Yeah.
Yeah, and he great. Yeah. He just died of the COVID-19. It's awful.
Oh, it was.
Yeah. I mean, so many people are dying that way. People are sick all the time.
Oh, I was sick over the weekend. I'm diabetic, and they're messing us up with our insulin. It's hard to get insulin. It's another COVID thing, and the insulin is always coming in late, and I'm almost running out. And I got it straightened out today. They were very nice at the drugstore, but I was getting ready to do the connection. I was getting ready to do the show yesterday. And
we announced it.
I took half a dose of insulin, trying to stretch my insulin out. Kind of a big mistake because by the late afternoon I was getting really sleepy.
So sad. Yeah.
Well, you got to live with it. And it's not sad. It's the damn industry that's killing us with their bad food and all their.
We should have socialized medicine.
Yes, we really do.
Yeah. In fact, this is the year for it because soon a vaccine will be out, and if they think we're all going to pay for it, forget about it.
We just order
$100 each.
We just order it from Putin. I guess. But things turn out in a funny way. Though I had such a deep dream from being kind of sick, you really get zonked out. That I came up with an idea for a new novel.
There you go.
And I think it's a pretty good, neat, weird start to the... I'll probably be a sequel to my Ezekiel series.
Yes.
It's about time to show the book again.
You should, show the book.
This is my first novel. It's science fiction,
magical
realism.
He's actually written more books than he's read. It's really...
Well, I spent...
It's an old joke.
Spent many years writing cartoons and stuff like that. And I finally got down to writing an actual book.
It's my favorite novel.
He's in it. Yes,
I'm in it.
No wonder.
A fictionalized version of me.
But
I'm a fictionalized version.
People have asked me to do another in an Ezekiel series, and I usually don't like the idea of doing a series, but they're very hot these days, and so I've had trouble thinking of a good sequel. I started one, and that's a little bit more serious and a little depressing. I don't think that's the one, but the one I dreamed last night was nice and surreal and strange and different and kind of science fiction-y. And so I wrote it down when I woke up and I had the first chapter.
There you go.
So anyway.
Written one chapter.
Yeah, just before breakfast.
Yes.
Well, outlined it anyway. So.
You know who else is sick?
Yes. What time we're about? Talking about disease.
We could end the show.
No. All right. Everybody in the Central Virginia area and elsewhere knows the Bowman Body.
Hey.
The best, in my opinion, the best horror movie host that's ever been, and a hell of a nice guy and a funny guy. And don't worry, he hasn't died or kicked the bucket. He likes to kick his tennis shoes around, but and drape them over the coffin. And here's a poster that I did.
Wow. Looks just like him.
For, you don't get that on 6 and 12. And this is another poster that somebody else did, very fine poster.
Mm-hmm.
And
T-shirts.
yeah, the reason I'm talking about Bowman is they're doing a fundraiser.
I'm sorry.
His daughter Casey Bowman is doing a fundraiser to help Bowman take care of his wife, Octavia Bowman, who was also a friend of mine, and she was a talented screenwriter and editor, edited many little magazines and things. And
what'd she write? A screenwriter that I might have seen.
It never got produced, but it was good. I was in I took a course, or sort of a group course in screenwriting early on, which was hosted by Randy Strodeman.
Oh yeah,
the stage director who had a hit Broadway play, Red Hot and Cold.
Oh yeah.
And anyway, he brought us together down in Shockoe Bottom, and way back. And Octavia was part of that, and we would do readings. I was mostly there as an actor at the time. I don't think I'd finished a screenplay at the time. But Octavia is a very talented lady, but now she has Alzheimer's, and Bowman's having some problems paying for all this.
Hell of a time.
But it's his daughter who's brought this up. Bowman hasn't asked for it, but his daughter has started a fundraiser on Facebook. Casey Bowman is her name, and she's a very talented, beautiful lady and a great singer. I hope you'll hear more from her sometime. Maybe she'll come on.
C-A-S-E-Y, Casey?
Like Casey Jones.
Like Casey Jones.
C-A-S-E-Y.
Yeah.
Casey
that could be
Bowman.
A boy's name.
Yeah, it
Like
sounds good. Anyway, Casey sings, and maybe we'll have her on here if we can find room on it and set up a microphone.
Yeah.
But anyway, if you're interested in helping Bowman out, send him a few bucks, or if you have more bucks, send those bucks.
Look at that.
Yeah.
What a wonderful shirt.
And they're raising about $25,000. And I think they're past the 10,000 mark.
There you go.
But anyway, this was a T-shirt. These came out about the time that they did the Bowman Body documentary.
Yeah.
And I was part of that too. I was interviewed, and I also did.
You're in that.
Yeah, and I did some animation. Sean Kotz, who is also on Facebook, SENANKOTZ. He produced and directed the documentary. I don't know if he still has any of these T-shirts.
Did you draw that?
Yeah.
And you have those? Those are on sale. Wow.
I don't know if he has any. He produced them. I designed it, but he produced it.
Yeah.
And
get a work of art.
You may. I don't know if Sean has any T-shirts or not. But if you're interested in the T-shirts, and maybe he'll forward contributions to the cause. I don't know. This is off the top of my head. But he's on Facebook, Sean Kotz, and he has a page honoring Bowman, a Bowman page that he's put together. He's got a whole lot of material on there about Bowman Body. Yeah. But once again, go to Casey Bowman, the Bowman Family Fund, I believe it's called. Yeah. The Bowman Family Fund. And help Bowman help his wife.
Bowman.
It's a worthy cause, especially if you want to give back from all the final great laughter and fun that Bowman gave us for many years. And the guy he didn't have many props. In fact, they were famous for being not much of a prop, but he had that coffin, he had those tennis shoes, but what he did with it was beyond belief. And I think one of the very best horror hosts that ever was. I'm just not being
I used to see him
sing
Monster Mash all the time.
Yeah.
And live performances and stuff, the Bowman Body. You know what's kind of neat about Bowman Body? He always had makeup on his face, but he didn't make up his hands at all. He just had regular flesh color.
Yeah. Well, that stuff it'll drive you nuts.
Well, you wore gloves, I guess, but they were just...
Well, that stuff will drive you nuts. I've worn clown makeup, and that's one reason I don't do much of that, because you just sweat and the stuff is dripping down.
I know.
But he did a funny thing one time on TV. It was one of those things that was seen on TV and remembered, but not captured on tape, that you couldn't find it anymore. and they asked me to recreate it.
Oh wow!
Because I remembered that was the guy I was telling the story, and so I animated it.
Yeah.
And what happened was, before Bowman Body on a Saturday night, I believe it was Soul Train that came on with Don Cornelius. Hey, it's Soul Train with all the great soul artists dancers, and everything. Yeah, dude, Soul Train, Soul Train.
Afro Sheen.
And that,
the sound of Philadelphia.
Yes, and that train had a great animated train.
Yeah.
But anyway, towards the end of the show, they were dancing and everything.
Yeah.
And you know, Bowman, he could. Somebody at Channel 8 pulled a little switch, and they had a tape of Bowman dancing.
Yeah.
And so suddenly, in the middle of Soul Train, before Bowman came on, they cut to Bowman, and he's gone down.
The live show?
On a live show.
Oh, wow.
And they could do that in those days. Well, they would send a tape, I think, on a bus or something.
Yeah.
But the guy at Channel 8, all he had to do was run another tape and then pull a switch.
Yeah.
And there was the Soul Train dancers and singers, and then suddenly there's Bowman. And then they cut back to them.
Now, I remember
playing around with television.
Yeah, I think, sadly, a lot of that stuff, in fact, he says very little of the Shock Theater show he did was kept because they erased everything.
A lot of times.
They had this one big tape, and they just kept taping over it. And
that was the
Tonight Show, too.
That was the practice of a lot of, although they saved quite a bit of Tonight Show, but that was the practice I've produced on Quad. Quad is what they call, I don't know why they call it Quad. It's bigger than 1/4 inch. It's gigantic videotape about that big, about 3 inches wide. And it was on those great big circular reels, but I guess it was expensive, and they would just tape over it.
Yeah, it wasn't like a video cassette.
Yeah, and it was a strong tape, so they could tape over it. It would.
Yeah,
it looked good.
Well, it was impracticable to think that everything you taped would be kept on those things. Because they're like tires.
For the documentary, though, I recreated that scene. I drew it like you saw on the T-shirt. Yeah, that was the character I drew. Anyway, I got Bowman. You know.
I remember he did
and then they kind of recreated it in the documentary.
I remember he did an ad. He used to do ads for Liberty supermarket.
It really rings the old bell.
And a friend of mine, actually, Barry Mandel, I asked him once, what does your father do for a living? Because he runs a supermarket chain. I said, what's it called? It's called Liberty. I said, you mean the Liberty, the same Liberty that advertises? Yeah, it's the same one that advertises on Shock Theater. Yes. He also
probably brought him a lot of business.
Yeah, and I never, I didn't live in Petersburg in those days. So.
And the wolves are gathering on the hill.
The other thing was...
I said, wolves, stupid!
He would also...
They would have a chicken going, wolves, stupid!
I remember also he used to advertise Arby's, and they would have these steak... I'd never heard of Arby's before. At the time, Arby's was a new fast food place that had these steak sandwiches. They're still around. And what happened was they had these glasses that looked like stained glass, and he was like tossing around. He goes, "These are fine, unbreakable glasses. These wonderful, of course." The whole point was eventually he was going to drop it and it was going to shatter. Real high class humor.
I did some Arby's cartoons with him too. Meeting. If I thought about it, I pulled them out. But anyway, it's him talking to some biker and all this type of stuff.
Yeah.
And then there was these naked girls that came to his front door one time at Halloween.
Really?
Hi, Mr. Bowman. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
In other words, these were apocryphal stories.
Yeah.
Real stories that happened in the life of Bowman.
Yeah.
On and off camera. And they asked me I drew them up in comic, like those New Yorker cartoons. And they were fun. They were in the documentary.
Yes.
And I have them around here. Don't quite remember where. Somewhere. They're out there.
Yes.
In the ether.
So thanks for telling us all about the Bowman Body and troubles he's going through right now. So thanks for bringing that up.
We all go through that. We live our lives. We're born. We come up to adulthood. We do our dance a jig, and we have fun and interact and make people laugh and what have you. We sell hamburgers. Then we get old and things get a little difficult. Then we go off into the other realm. But while we're going,
I'm staying.
Yeah, he's
Yeah, I'm not
he's
going
got a
anywhere.
special contract with the man with the horns and the pointy beard. Did you sign it in blood? It has to be signed in blood.
Daniel Webster.
Yes, Dr. Faustus.
Dr. Faustus. Yeah.
Anyway, that's a great movie. Great story, Faust.
Great, yeah.
There's a great old silent version of that.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
I'll show it sometime. But yeah, we got to help our friends. We will be there. It's a community. It's a community. It's our neighborhood. And in recent years, the last 30 years, we got so hidey-tighty and high-techy, and everybody's been kind of forgetting all that.
Hoity-toity.
Hoity-toity. But if you go back to our parents' day and our grandparents' day, they always looked after the old people. It's like if you go to an Amish. Not an Amish.
An armory?
Yeah.
No,
do you go to an Amish farm up in Pennsylvania, you know? They got the big house, the big farmhouse, and then if you ride by on those tours, there's another house attached to it, and then there's another smaller house attached, 3 houses attached. Yeah. And what happened was they built a house, the first generation raised their kids in that house, and then the parents get old, right?
Yeah.
And the son takes over the big house and raises his kids. And they put they build another house, a smaller house,
yes,
next to it.
About barn raising.
Yeah, well, it's all attached.
Yeah, it's all attached.
Yeah. And then sometimes there's a third generation, great-grandpa and grandma. They got a little bitty cottage, but it's all together.
Yes.
And that's a wonderful way to think.
All the generations, yeah.
And some of them have, you go up in Maine, they got the barn attached to the house. Yeah. And that's a whole nother type of togetherness, but that's kind of interesting.
I saw Witness.
In the winter. Oh, Witness, yes.
Yeah. But I got to tell you something. I once went to the Amish community in Pennsylvania, and I had nowhere. They had no place for me to plug in my espresso maker. It was.
Yeah, but those those mashed potatoes, man. You gotta have those mashed potatoes, man.
Mashed potatoes.
They're good. But yeah, they were up there, and they had a steam train and everything, and I gather they're having trouble keeping the young people down on the farm these days. Everybody's got
after they've seen Hershey Park. Maybe
they have steam-powered apps on their iPhones, or
steam-powered cell phone,
or mule-powered. Got a little pulley and say, "Okay, bossy, take off."
That's coal-powered. You have to shovel coal. You need a shovel coal to your phone,
or a twine and rope, and a wheel going in. Oh boy, yeah, there goes.
Oh yeah,
there goes. What's his name? Who was that? Mario. Mario.
From the let's wrap it up.
Yeah, time to wrap up.
Yeah. Thank you for watching another exciting adventure of Van Allen's Attic with the wonderful Keith Van Allen, artist extraordinaire.
Ta-da.
Very good.
Is it off? Yeah.
See you next week. Takes forever to do so.